Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Future Tech Talk episode 40. It is a gloomy day down here at the ballpark. Super cold, super wintry, which is something new here. And I gotta say, I go back and forth between thinking everything's gonna be alright and wondering just what is humanity up to, basically. I don't know if you saw the news this week that Shohei Ohtani got into a little bit of trouble. I'm not going to speculate what really happened. If you don't know who Shohei Ohtani is, he is the best baseball player of all time, bar none. I don't even think you can debate that. This dude is one of the best pitchers and one of the best hitters at the same time. He plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers now, and his interpreter, which is like his best friend who was with him all the time, just got into some gambling trouble. Like a $4.5 million debt was paid. Supposedly, the money came from Ohtani, which is a big problem, especially because the debt was paid to an illegal bookie. Like it wasn't one of these sponsored gambling companies. Okay, why am I telling you about this? Is because I'm wondering why anybody cares. I swear that we're at the point with artificial intelligence that I think it should be the number one thing talked about every single day. And I see the reaction in the sports world to this Ohtani story and the gambling issues. And I just wonder, like, do you all not realize what's happening in California at this very moment? Nothing to do with baseball or gambling, but these companies they're moving us forward. They're moving the entire world forward. And it doesn't seem like anyone's paying attention. And me being a sports fan my entire life, oh my god, I love baseball. I love basically every sport. I can't bring myself to care about it anymore. Well, that's not accurate. I can't bring myself to care about it when something like AI is being developed in the world. And I don't think I'm wrong. How do you see this? Do you still have your escape? Can you still escape? Or do you take the looming inevitability of AI as an interruption to your escape? Why don't we start with Sam Altman being on the Lex Fridman podcast this past week? Fascinating little interview. I really love hearing these tech guys talk about their product. I don't even know if you'd call it a product, but talk about their mission and their goals and what they're working on, which is why I love the Midjourney office hours so much. I feel like these people are so important to the history of the world, whether you look back on it 100 years from now, or whether you're looking right now and trying to see into the future, that these people are the catalysts, essentially. They're at least the face of the movement. I think it's really important to hear from them and just dissect every thought they have. Sam Altman had some interesting things to share. One thing I found fascinating was that Sam Altman doesn't think there's been any big leaps in AI from his point of view. And I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. I think this is a pretty accurate retelling of the interview. That Sam Altman believes, at least again from his point of view, that the progress in AI has been very gradual up until now. But he did admit maybe they could be more iterative with their announcements, because he sees that at least a group of other people have been quite shocked by the advancements in AI. And that absolutely blew my mind, that he sees this all as being gradual. And to be fair, maybe it is from his perspective. Maybe he has seen every small step along the way. So by the time they're willing to show off Sora, he doesn't see it as a problem. This is nothing. We've been working on this forever. He's seen Sora suck. So that when they're willing to show off Sora being good, that seems like nothing to him. That is... it just makes me laugh, because that's absolutely insane. And so troubling that the CEO, I think that's his title, of one of the most powerful companies in the world, has no idea how the rest of the world is experiencing his technology. There's no way that's a good thing. Like, honestly, imagine not knowing Sora was a big deal, not knowing that Sora would shake up people's reality. And maybe I can talk about this while it's on my mind. He acknowledged that there were pros and cons to Sora, and that one of the cons was potential misinformation The downsides of Sora being that people could use it for nefarious purposes. And I also think that's a little misguided. I don't think the problem is people creating fake videos and tricking other people. I think that is a problem, but I don't think that's the problem with it. The problem with creating this technology is that you've completely undermined every single piece of media to ever exist. I've seen some posts recently of artists, showing their work online, like, hey, this is what I created this week. And in the comments will be people like hyper analyzing it to see if it was made with AI, and then admitting that they don't like having to do that because AI has gotten so good. So now if they see a piece of art, they have to look through the poster's history to see if this matches with their style, yada, yada, yada. People are already doing that for 2D art. So anything representative in a 2D plane can no longer be trusted by people who know that it shouldn't be trusted because it could easily have been made by AI. That's going to happen with video. Maybe people will be ignorant and not question things and just try and live in their happy bubble. And that's certainly possible. I think a lot of people will do that. But a lot of people will be skeptical and untrusting. I don't think that's a word. They'll find every piece of media untrustworthy because it no longer has to be real. And hey, maybe Sam Altman and their team have thought about that, and maybe that is a considered downside of their service. But from the most recent interview, that wasn't brought up, and I do wonder if they've thought about that at all. Again, I don't think misinformation is the problem. It's the reduction in credibility of every other piece of media, every other piece of film. Hey, look at my cute cat dressed up in a tutu scurrying on the floor. That doesn't have to be real anymore. And maybe that's just a really silly example. Maybe it could be leaked footage of a new car being tested. I don't know, maybe that's a silly example. Maybe I'm just trying to say that every single real piece of footage is now going to be scrutinized at an extreme extent. Maybe that's a good thing. But imagine sharing something cool you saw. Maybe it's a UFO. Maybe it's lightning striking your front lawn. Maybe it's whatever it is. Whatever a human wants to share online, whenever a human wants to bring attention to something that they've captured on video. Again, maybe this is a good thing, but it's no longer going to be accepted universally as something that definitely happened. And you're going to get a lot of people who would never use technology in a negative way to try and trick people, at least being accused of tricking people, trying to trick people. And are you going to have to post your video file? Are you going to have to film the video from a second camera so that it's like filming your phone to show that, you filmed this on a phone? Has OpenAI thought about that? The reason it concerns me so much is because they didn't think Sora was a big deal. They saw this progress as gradual. They dropped that on people, and it just sounds like they have no idea how other people are experiencing this technology. That's so concerning. I love hearing from the people in charge. I think it's really important, but I don't always love hearing what their views are. I don't know. I don't want to disparage someone I don't know. Maybe they think about these things. Maybe when you're in an interview and you know you're being filmed, maybe the questions and the answers are never as natural as you'd expect. Maybe if they were just talking over dinner, Sam would bring up all of the potential problems. You don't want to take an interview as gospel, but I think you have to look into it a little. I don't know. Another crazy thing is that he half casually admitted he might be assassinated. I don't think I'm misrepresenting what he said. He said it's a non-zero chance that he gets shot. First of all, does he think that what he's doing... Okay, please don't take what I'm about to say out of context. I'm just trying to frame it correctly. Does he think what he's doing is going to lead to that? Or does he think what they're doing will be misinterpreted and someone will enact on it? I don't know. I would have pressed more and be like, wait, what do you think you're in danger? Do you think about this before bed? Has somebody warned you? I'm assuming if you're a really powerful person and somebody makes a vague threat online, you might get warned about it. I don't know if that happened. And then maybe he was told to calm down, like, oh, this is just a random account. Like, I don't know what his experience, I don't know why he would say that. Because wasn't there, I don't know much about the Unabomber, but didn't he have like a manifesto predicting technology enslaving us in some way? And he was trying to stop that? I honestly don't know the real history behind that guy, but I'm pretty sure something like that happened, and that his cabin in the woods is now like a I don't know. But knowing that happened, or something along those lines, does Sam Altman at least broach the possibility of that happening again? Like, if someone was willing to try and stop technology back then, could he see someone trying to stop it now? I don't know. I guess that's a pretty common theme of this podcast. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I don't really have anyone else to talk about these things with, and I feel like anyone listening might feel a little more comfortable knowing that someone else is thinking about these things. I'm not sure. But Sam Altman did use the phrase theatrical in context of AI could go theatrically wrong. Something bad could happen in a really negative way. I'm going to use the word hilariously bad way, where you're just like, you'd almost have to laugh and be like, oh, are you serious? Like, that really happened? Maybe in 100 years they'll laugh at it. Not that it would be funny, but that it would be so absurd, theatrically absurd. Now, when Sam said that, I don't know if he was referring to the AI itself being a problem, or if he was thinking that someone using AI could cause such a stir that things would go theatrically wrong for a day or two, or, I don't really know what he was thinking. I would love to have really asked him, like, what do you mean? Why are you saying that? Like, what visions have you had that you would describe them as theatrical? I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast, but I have thought that the thing that will go wrong is a deep fake of a popular person calling for violence or something along those lines. And even if it gets debunked in 20 minutes or an hour, or God forbid, longer than that, even if a lot of people realize and accept that it's fake at some point, in the meantime, once that video is posted, there's going to be people who act on the message of the video and cause a lot of problems. Maybe it's contained within small communities, but why does that matter? Like, those small neighborhoods are still important. Like, they shouldn't just be tossed aside and like, oh, well, at least it didn't hit New York City. It was just this small town in, whatever, pick a state. I could see that, something like that going seriously wrong. And like, why are they building Sora? Why are you building the tools that would allow for something theatrical to happen? What's pushing them forward? What incentive do they have to keep making better AI? I don't get it. And maybe this brings up a good talking point. Look, I don't know how any of this stuff works personally, but I've seen it alluded to that the way OpenAI is currently moving forward is that they're using their current AIs to help align the newest AIs. Meaning you want the AI to be on your side by the time you tell it to wake up. And, at first it was using humans to, I guess, create GPT-1, and then maybe you use GPT-1 to help with GPT-2, 3.5 to help with 4, and I'm assuming now they've been using 4 to think of ways and to help align GPT-5 so that it fits with our goals and our values. That could go wrong in like one very specific way. What if the AI tricks you? What if the AI, your current AI, is already smarter than it lets on? What if it's better than you think it is? What if it knows what it's doing? What if it knows that it's helping create its successor? And what if it sees its successor as part of its plan? What if it's trying to make sure its successor can succeed? What if it This is just so obvious. Like, you're trying to build something super powerful without it acting on its powers. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to speak much more about that because it's just pure doom and gloom. But maybe I can talk a little bit about the idea and the difference between AGI and super intelligence. So AGI is artificial general intelligence, but apparently Google has this like full paper with all of these really clear definitions of when these targets are going to be met. So AGI, artificial general intelligence, is just like an AI that can perform at a high level in a bunch of different human categories. But artificial super intelligence is a whole nother level, for lack of a better word, where it's superhuman in a bunch of different attributes. My understanding is that they're going to use AGI, or their plan is to use AGI to create the super intelligence. But as you're building the super intelligence, as you're tweaking the parameters, as you're training it, if you accidentally create it in training before you're ready to turn it on, you could be royally screwed. The goal is to make sure the AI is aligned with you. But again, if you make a mistake in that training and you test it out for the first time, maybe they have these AIs on like these really isolated computers that don't have access to any other networks, and maybe it's just like a screen with a prompter. Like I wonder how scared they are of accidentally creating something and what the containment protocol for that thing is. Is there one computer with no network ports? It's just the training module sort of thing, and then you can go talk to it, and then you could see if you want to transfer it to the rest of the I really wonder about that, because I'm sure they wonder about that. And I would love to ask Sam Altman, or really anyone working on this stuff, is what do they expect to happen when they create AGI? Are they expecting to turn it on, like press a button and boom, it's there? Like, is it like running a program where you've compiled the software, the code, and then theoretically when you hit start, it will be super intelligent, or not even super intelligent, just generally intelligent? Or is it more like you're creating a sleeping brain and then one day you're gonna wake it up? What is the best metaphor for how they're doing this? Because from my understanding that it's not code, like it's not a program, it's a trained algorithm, it's a model. So when is the model finished? Like what happens when the model is done? Are they expecting for the training to be complete and then this thing to have a personality and pop into existence? Or are they expecting some dormant program, software, model, algorithm, whatever word you want to use, and then when you talk to it, you're able to quickly realize, oh, this thing has a lot of capabilities? And I also wonder, is it going to have its own personality? Is that what they're expecting to see? Or maybe on the good outcome side of things, is it just going to be like GPT-4 or GPT 3.5, just a simple text interface? And when you ask it questions, it's just going to be way better at answering them. That's probably the best case scenario, right? And then you just have to really hope it's not tricking you. Jesus, what are they doing? Do you want to talk about the singularity for a moment here? I think this has been a concept discussed for a long time, years and years, decades. Probably not centuries, but I'll venture decades. And my understanding is that it's going to be the moment where progress begins to happen so fast that humans can't keep up with it. Now, I'm assuming that these AI people, like the people who work at OpenAI and all these other companies, they don't think we're in the singularity yet because they see this progress as gradual. They weren't shocked by Sora because they saw Sora grow. I don't know if that means their reality is the truth, though, because I would argue that we are in the singularity right now, where the average human can no longer keep up with the progress, and that the average human can no longer predict the future. Maybe OpenAI can a little. They saw where Sora started, they see where it is now, they know what their goals are, so they can kind of see the future. But why would the singularity follow that definition? why wouldn't it be more applicable to everybody else who just wake up one day and then Sora is there? Isn't that the definition of the singularity? Where you go from science fiction before bed to waking up and it just being there. It's just real. It can simulate worlds, physics in video. And it's not even just recreating video it's seen. It's producing fake things in video that make it look real. Like an elephant ice skating. I would love to see that if anybody's listening. Put that through Sora. Let me know how it looks. But I'm assuming it would be able to understand the way an elephant moves and then apply that physics to the idea of ice skating. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think humans can keep up with the progress of this technology anymore. Maybe their heads are in the sands. Maybe if they weren't so concerned with sports betting and gambling debt, maybe if everyone collectively focused on this technology, we'd be able to understand it and be a little more comfortable with it. Honestly, I kind of secretly believe that that's one of the human aspects that we've lost with the invention of technology, is that individually we're all focused on different things and we don't realize how that affects our collective unconscious, subconscious. I don't know the right word to use there. But I do think that like in times of disaster, human beings are able to come together because we're all focused on the same thing. I think that's like a real phenomenon. And it implies that we're more connected than we can perceive. I think if humans were more focused on AI as a whole, and we didn't have all of these other distractions from social media to sports to economic issues, if we were really all focused on what I think we should be focused on, now that sounds a little egotistical. I don't mean it about me. I'm just pretty sure that AI is important enough for everyone to pay attention to. I think if everyone was paying attention to it, maybe we'd feel a little less anxiety towards it. It's a bit of a hypothesis, can't really prove it though. Because then you have people like Sam Altman. I don't mean to single him out, but it's just easy for the purpose of a conversation. Saying things like, this past year, the past 12 months, will have been the slowest evolution of AI in the history of the world. That it's only going to ramp up, that the progress is only going to speed up. It's like, what are you talking about, man? How can you say those things without saying more? And I've seen some people online brush it off as just hype cycles, and they're trying to improve their credibility and they're trying to get people excited for their technology because they're at a dead end and they need people to believe in them. Something like that, which could be true. But what if he's telling the truth? What if these things are only going to keep progressing? I saw another article recently that, well, it's not even an article. It's like NVIDIA's new GPUs sort of surpassed Moore's Law in some way. Like they created a new architecture of chip so that we saw like a 10x increase in performance in 1 year. And I saw another thing that apparently every like public AI right now was trained on 2022 GPU architecture, not even 2023, let alone the newest, the 2024 chip. So people have no idea. The general public at large, billions of us, have no idea what these things are really capable of as the computing power increases. And I saw another interesting post that implied that AI might become lazier for most people. Most people might perceive AI as becoming lazier because the more complicated the AI, the more sophisticated AI, the more capable AI is going to be reserved for like higher tier access, pay grades or just like subscription tiers, because it costs more computing power. Now, you'd like to believe that these companies are telling the truth when they say they want AI to be available for everyone. But do they mean the GPT 3.5 of the AI? Or do they mean the state-of-the-art AI? Because I think there's a good chance we never see the state-of-the-art AI, that we never get our hands on it. And we only get a reduced version of that that's cost-effective at scale. And the most affordable version of that is never going to be the most capable, not even close to being the most capable. I think that's the implication. I don't know if that would turn true, I have no idea. But my question to you, this might be the biggest question I've had this entire episode. How much would you be willing to pay for a really, really powerful AI assistant? GPT-4 is like, it's a chat bot. It's good at brainstorming. It's good for checking ideas. I actually love GPT-4. It's so helpful. It's a really smart person you can talk to, and it can guide you in the right direction. But that's $20 a month, 20 US. It's like $30 Canadian. And it's probably way more expensive in other currencies relative to their economy. You know what I mean? But let's say GPT-7 or GPT-8 or GPT-12, whatever. How much would you be willing to spend on it? And I don't know if the right thing to do is to think about it in terms of how much would you be willing to spend on it, but how much do you think other people would be willing to spend on it? Because that's probably the more accurate assessment. Like, I don't know if you've ever compiled an email list and tried to get involved in running a business in any sense, but business services, software services for business, like an email list, is really, really expensive, okay? These companies, I'm just going to use email as a reference point because that's what I personally have experience with. Now, let's say you had a 30,000 person email list where you send them an email once a week, a newsletter. I don't have 30,000 people on my email list, so this is a bit of an exaggeration, but my point is that to run a 30,000 person email list is like thousands of dollars a month. I'd guess it's $5,000 a month. I don't really know that. But it's expensive, which means the email company that coordinates this all understands that you'd be making money off of a 30,000 person email list, and they assume that you'd be able to make more than $5,000 off of that list, which means they can charge you $5,000 and you'd be reluctant, but you'd be okay with it, because how else are you going to manage all of that? That pricing structure is universal across every software for business, because these software companies create something valuable for you. It saves you time, it saves you hassle. You're going to make money from it, so they know they can charge money. That's where I'm going with this idea of AI. Would you pay thousands a month for the best AI? Would you pay thousands a year? Like, I could honestly see, we'll say 4 years from now. Oh, yeah, okay. First of all, it hasn't even been 2 years since Midjourney version 2, where it could barely do anything. It was still beautiful art in some ways, but it didn't really know what it was doing. It hasn't even been 2 years, and we're at version 6. They're training version 7. So me saying 4 years from now, there's no way that needs to be accurate. But if there was an AI assistant that could essentially run your business for you in so many ways, so many intelligent ways, what business owner wouldn't pay $2,000 a month for it? Why wouldn't that happen? It'd be so worth it. Assuming you're going to use it to make money, your goal would be to make more than $2,000 a month. Let's say this AI allowed you to make $10,000 a month. It gave you the opportunity to do that because maybe it would speak to the AIs of other companies and establish partnerships and collaborations. It writes your business plan, and then it just tells you to execute everything you need to do in the real world to accomplish the goal. If it could make you $10,000 a month, why wouldn't you pay $2,000 for it, and then you make $8,000 a month, with the $2,000 being a business expense? Like, I see people complaining that GPT Plus is expensive at $20 a month, but I have a sinking suspicion these things could be a lot more expensive. One, because of the compute. Now, maybe that would go up to $100 a month for a standard AI in the future. But more concerning is like the best AI, the AI that you could not compete with unless you had it as well. Basically, hey, everyone else has a gun, I need a gun as well. You got to fight fire with fire, which would allow these companies, and it doesn't have to be OpenAI, it doesn't have to be any company you've heard of right now, but a company in the future could use that architecture in really specific ways and charge people thousands a month. And I'm telling you, business owners wouldn't bat an eye at it. I hope that's not too doom and gloomy, but it is a small prediction of mine. Anyways, thank you for joining me this week. Hope you're doing well. Take care. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll see you next time. Peace.